You're listening to Surely a Mystery, straight from Long Beach Island, New Jersey. We're here to share with you all the spooky, scary, and mind-bending enigmas that make up the Jersey Shore. I'm your living host, Anna, here with some mystery, history, and a few tips to proper ghost hunting. So why don't we get started? Welcome back, my loyal listeners. Remember, if you are on Spotify, Apple, or anything that asks for a review, I would love a 5-star review so that maybe I could do this more consistently and maybe even quit my day job. Today, I thought we would cover haunted high schools. I certainly don't have time to cover all the possible stories in this episode, but I tried to pick ones with the most credibility and evidence. I figured that there will most certainly be another episode of haunted schools, though I think that not many principals or school districts would be too happy, especially if they're still having classes there. I mean, the kids might. Ghosts have many reasons to haunt a location. Okay, that's if you think that they have or should need a reason. High schools have their own set of special circumstances that might make a teen or teacher ghost to choose to stick around. Let's talk about the obvious ones. Tragic events. We have accidental deaths, suicides, murders, or even mass shootings. Murders most often occur underneath the bleachers or in the bathrooms, sometimes in parking lots or in the parks near the schools. Mass shootings are a major reason that school buildings are often destroyed and areas are made into parks. They hold not just the bad memories for the families and the communities, but are often imprinted with memories which some might call bad juju. Unfinished business actually could be such things as wanting to get revenge on bullies, maybe even finishing school, getting a date to the prom, even attending prom. How about even just attending graduation? Can you imagine being a teenager and then not being able to finish your life? The simple landmarks we have, which many of us take for granted, like high school. How about simple attachment? So many people consider high school to be the best years of their lives. Even couples who die old, but high school is where they met or were the happiest, show up as their younger selves. There are tons of stories of old principals who haunt schools. There are old teachers roaming the halls, or even janitors who are both scary or nice that hang out in their own schools. Sometimes maybe even seeking justice can go along with that, even revenge. If they can seek to get back at those kids, actually any kids, that were a pain in the asses. I think many a teacher would want to get back at some students, past and present, or prevent kids from being bullies or kids getting bullied. Now, residual hauntings are easy. These are the kinds of hauntings that you see somebody walking, but they don't act like they see you. They are repeating a behavior or event, or hearing noises that aren't there. Like the lunch lady making lunch, but nobody's there. I'm not sure about cursed objects in a high school, but it is possible, though highly unlikely. I mean, how many high schools are going to have occult objects brought into school? Through like a football game with a notorious bully and they bring back the game-winning ball, maybe. Or sometimes the photo of some tragic event. Ever notice that 9/11 memorials are the pictures of the old buildings there or the new Freedom Towers? We never are shown the destruction. However, sometimes people would put warning pictures like drunk driving accidents, the destroyed cars, photos of the crashes. Maybe some deranged teacher or administrator might bring a token back from a trip or put it in the school without anyone knowing, like in their office. So let's forget that one for now. But lastly, we have things like environmental factors. Well, like, see, built on a graveyard? I know, that's so stereotypical. It could be a battle site or that tragic accidents had happened there, or even burnt down houses, massacres from long ago that were swept away by time. School districts needed cheap land, so there you go. A school was built on a tragic site, sometimes without them even knowing it. That's actually one thing that happens more than you know. Mostly it's Native American land, since grave markers were not like those that Europeans have. I've even heard of graveyards moved to build a school. I'm certain that there aren't any bodies left. Cough, choke, hack, wheeze. No offense, but early graves had more than one body sometimes buried in them, and babies were often buried near their mothers and sometimes with no markers. There was even a school that the ashes of someone were kept in the actual school. No joke. Johnny was cremated and then given to the school and put in the school display case. Folklore, superstition, and popular tales are mostly where these ghost tales come from. When it comes to high schools and ghosts, the seniors love to scare the freshmen. The alum love to keep their siblings in line. Dares and other things can help bolster the cred of a school. However, it's when the tales come from multiple people over time and by people who are credible. I mean, a cop versus a kid smoking marijuana. Which one would you believe? Okay, it might depend on inner city versus country. Some teachers and students think nothing of it, that spooky things happen in some schools. For example, I worked at a school in Perth Amboy, built in the early 1900s. I and others will be walking around, and it constantly feels like there's someone behind you. Oftentimes, you don't feel alone. Like somebody will suddenly walk around the corner, or you think if you look over your shoulder, you'll catch sight of someone. Or if you're in the bathroom and early in the morning, you'll hear footsteps outside the door, but then when you get out, there's nobody there. I have not really heard anything about the school, nor have any of the students shared any stories, but that doesn't mean the cleaning staff or security doesn't know things. So let's start with 1935 for the first one. Lambertville High School. So there was this football player who was tackled and everybody saw it, but he didn't get up. Well, he didn't get up because his neck was broken. Yep, he died right there on the field in front of everybody. The school itself closed down around 1955, but eventually it burnt down in 1984. The school moved to a new location, but it seems that old Buckeye had followed from the original location. A group of drunk teens were joking around about him and challenged this dead-looking man to a race. The kids who ran, and they ran all the way home, literally, survived. But two boys who decided they weren't going to run went missing. When the boys were eventually found, their heads were twisted almost completely around. And no, that's not made up. And no, it's not some scary joke. Now, the cops who investigated their deaths blamed it on a fight with rival teenagers from another school. Now, wait a minute. You're telling me that some high school kid beat two kids up and then willy-nilly twisted their rivals' heads around to finish them off? However, I beg to differ that two kids dying the same way after the same paranormal experience with their heads almost twisted off. No, I'm sorry, I don't agree. The statistical probability that both would die exactly the same way is so random and so rare that, yeah, unless they were fighting the same ghost, then maybe. Buckeye wasn't his real name. Many thought that Billy was the name of the dead football player, but after researching it, I finally found out that his name is Jimmy Cavallo. The old stairs are still there, and if you're brave enough, you can kind of go challenge him. The old field is the best place to challenge him if you dare. Many say that a strange fog or mist will appear, while others talk about a strong cold, like a cold wind, no matter what time of year it is. The rest of the school buildings for Lambertville High were demolished in 2012, but the hilltop area still has tales of ghostly images, men with red eyes, and some other paranormal events. Well, after our sponsor commercial, we're going to talk about some of the other hauntings in local school areas around the Jersey Shore.
Hot Shot Billiard Supplies is a locally owned billiards business. They provide everything for your billiard needs and desires. For example, you love the Philadelphia Phillies. Why not get your table refelted with the Eagles colors or a big Eagle logo in the center? Big game coming up? Maybe the table needs to be releveled or a good cleaning? Call them. Looking for that cool and unusual gift? Why not a pool cue in their favorite color or with their favorite animal printed on it? Add a glove, a chalk holder, or any accessory you can imagine. Yes, they ship out of state. Yes, they repair cues and retip them and put a new ferrule on it. He even makes his own cues. Why not order that one-of-a-kind cue with locally sourced wood and accents? The owner, Gibby, has owned the business for more than 25 years. He is a national billiards head referee, working the pro and amateur circuit. He's even a certified master billiards mechanic. If you own a bar, sports place, or the head of your local Moose or American Legion, he recovers any size pool table. The cool thing is that he'll give you an honest estimate right at your home or business. And if he really can't help your table, he's frank enough to give you the options that you can live with. Speaking of Frank, he does pool lessons at your place or his. Why not find out what you can do to become the best you can be? So, Hot Shot Billiards is here year-round for your needs, personal or business. Why don't you give them a call at 818-606-1724 or email them at hsbilliardsc@gmail.com. That's hsbilliardsc@gmail.com. Or, of course, check out their website, hotshotbilliards.net. Again, reach out to them, 818-606-1724. And thanks for being our very first sponsor.
Welcome back. Thanks to our local sponsor. We really could use some others, actually. Between the reviews and sponsorships, it definitely helps. Even a few bucks. It's tax deductible too. Your sponsorship keeps the lights on. Okay, not the lights, but the storage in the website keeps us investigating on the weekends and producing these for free. We are going to start posting snippets of sounds and maybe some images that we caught while visiting the graveyards over the last month. I did some of them investigations and really wanted to share the results, or at least the sound bites, and see what you think. I redid the website recently, so you'll be able to check on the evidence page once it pops up. I'm still kind of trying to get episodes out there first. Someday, it'll be getting to the point where we'd have to charge. so that's why I'm kind of asking for something. Also, if you want to suggest a topic or a place, send me an email. I'm gotten a lot of new things to investigate, but I'm looking for ones that people have never researched or been allowed to investigate. So let's continue with our Haunted New Jersey High Schools episode. Doane Academy, St. Mary's Hall. That school was founded in 1837 as a boarding school. Trust me, I went to a boarding school. Things can be tough, not just emotionally, but physically. Students and staff have reported here orbs of light floating along most hallways, but the best stories come from the third floor of Scarborough Hall. Doors will often open and close on their own. Yeah, maybe there's a wind, but all the locked ones too? Lights in the hallway will turn off and on their own with nobody around. And after watching a recent Netflix movie, Tarot, that would really freak me out. I will play devil's advocate. Is Scarborough Hall suffering from ancient electrical issues? I mean, what about power surges? The problem is that so many things can be explained, but not by paranormal reasons. However, I will say that these orbs and the lights going on and off will happen at weird times, and they're not patterned or timed to storms or power outages in the local area. Now, how about going to their chapel? Creepy. Little children are heard singing, and many times little kids are seen. But the worst is when you enter the chapel, many people report a sudden sort of pressure on their chest, especially when accompanied by the children singing. These little kids are pranksters too. So the bathrooms that are closest to the chapel, the faucets will tend to turn themselves on and off, like almost like they're trying to get your attention. And others say if you turn on a faucet, it'll simply shut off immediately, or when you turn your back or look around before you're even done, it's off. Sports have been lately in the news with people, especially student athletes dying, dropping dead during practice or just after, or worse, during football games. So why not talk about Roebling High School, the outside basketball court? Some people say that on some nights that you'll see a solitary man of an undescript age playing basketball on the court, and it doesn't matter what weather it is. Many in the area talk about the tale of a man who apparently had a heart attack and died while on the court while practicing. Now, I've found all kinds of references to people who recently died, and they're all in the major cities, but nothing older in that area. So if you can research and find the story, that'd be great. That'd be great validation. Now, this is the one that I like to try and investigate at some point. It's called the Bergen Tunnel. Yeah, everyone's heard of it. It is a 2-mile tunnel near Dickerson High School. Many people have had accidents on or near the tracks, including trains. Now, you want to talk about spooky. On September 11th, but in the year 1910, 11 workmen were killed and 8 seriously injured when about 50 feet of the western end of the Old Erie Railroad Tunnel through Bergen Hill in Jersey City Heights collapsed. Well, before that, in 1865, a train car became uncoupled and rolled over and killed a child, wounded a man, and crushed a leg and injured several other children who were hanging around. But we only see that one died on that date of the accident. Did the other kids survive and were just brutally injured? I don't know. Today, many people call it Dead Man's Tunnel or Devil's Tunnel. Take your pick. In January 1865, Harper's Weekly printed a creepy cartoon called The Merry Andrew of Bergen Tunnel. In folklore, this means someone who clowns around in public or amuses others with ridiculous behavior. It took a while, but it turns out that people thought that having that tunnel working was ridiculously dangerous. However, businesses around the area convinced them that the tunnel was completely needed, so they couldn't close it. Here's something to think about. On one side of the tunnel, it starts at a cemetery. It literally goes through a cemetery, a burial ground. And then you're traveling 2 miles underground in the darkness with water that seeps through the walls that conducts paranormal energy. And the accidents happen near the entrance or just near the exit as you're coming out. Yeah, see? Creepy. Let's talk about one more while we have time. Before we get to the good local one, which was even featured on television, H. Davis Elementary School near Camden, New Jersey. It was built in 1925. Many in the area who have gone to school believe that it's haunted, especially the school's auditorium. The best one is the rattling chains. Okay, how classic can you get? Yes, I did say rattling chains with a male figure near the backstage, often behind the curtains. Now, remember, change could simply be the sound of the old curtains going up and down. Other than that, I'm not really sure why this guy sounds like rattling chains. But there might be some truth to these tales, because several children died in a fire in the school. The girls' locker room is especially very active. Benches will move, lockers will open and close violently, especially when bullying is going on. The showers will turn on, the toilets will turn on and off. A former custodian said, "You can hear giggles or voices after hours, and I damn well know there's no one here. Many like that area cleaned first because I'm not going there after dark." But last but not least, let's talk about Elizabeth Lizzie Edwards School in Barnegat. Yes, it has been torn down since the ghost hunters investigated in 2014. So if you want to see it, you'd have to check out their episode. Many who attended the school consider her, that's Elizabeth Lizzie Edwards, to be a good ghost. I guess that means she did good things or was nice to people. There are other ghosts, like the ones who preferred to hear 1940s music that occupied the space. They would slam lockers when the kids were leaving games, almost like get out of here. They would turn lights on and off, especially when some poor teacher or custodian was still there alone. But get this, there were no light bulbs in the sockets, or the bulbs had been burnt out long ago. The best story was a worker who was working a night shift there. He was doing some renovation work. What could possibly go wrong there? He saw a door open, and he knew that he was the only one from his crew that was there. There was nobody else near him. He freaked out, ran from the building, and when he finally got up some courage, he needed to finish the job. So he returned to find his ladder, but now his ladder was in a completely different hallway. Nobody moved it, and it was in a completely different hallway. Eventually, the school had to be torn down because structurally, the building just couldn't continue. Now it's a park. Not just a park, a haunted park. There are the sounds of giggling children when people walk by, but there'll be no children. A woman can be seen, especially in a summer print dress, walking the park. But when you drive a bit further and go to see where she is now, she's disappeared. So if you want to go for a ghost hunting picnic at night and have a great time finding the remnants of the school, then go to this park. But what about the cement and the other fixtures? I mean, you've probably obviously heard of the plane that crashed in Florida in the 1970s, and the idiots scavenged all the parts and then put them on other planes. And yes, the other planes were then haunted until the airline decided to take out the dead plane's recovered parts. I'm not joking. On the next Surely a Mystery, it's episode 15. Not sure what I'm cooking up for the rest of this season or season 5, but I'm always open to suggestions. Send me an email or fill out our form on our website. If you want me to follow up on another topic, or I'm also open to working with groups or people to investigate something that you want to investigate. But once again, this has been your living host, Anna, putting this together from my little office on Long Beach Island, New Jersey. I'm hoping that you stay safe, not getting burned by friends or the upcoming sun. Till the next time on Surely a Mystery.